Okay, the webinar has started.
Yes, the webinar has started. Hello to all of our dear participants. Sorry for the late start here. Hey, Dorina, good to see you. Dr. Art, Fede, nice to see you. Jim, welcome back, Jim. Linda, good to see you. Okay, so let's see here.
Hubie, make sure, pay attention, please. The internet where I am was down, up and down yesterday, so hopefully it'll be fine, but just in case, so you know.
Okay, so if we have to restart it, just everybody hang out. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Welcome, welcome. So, Ridgely, you're not in your usual haunts. Tell us where
I
you
am
are.
not. I am down in Mexico for our biannual second trip of 2025 to Akumal Bay, our little piece of paradise that we get a chance to come down to, where I'm blessed to train the staff. And I have to share an interesting thing with everybody here. And this has nothing to do with our mastermind, but it's very curious. And I wonder how many of us on this call might be even affected by this. So this year, 2025, the emphasis has been on financial literacy, helping the people who work at this all-inclusive resort to understand how money works, what is money, why is it so important to save money, how much to save, what is an emergency fund, what does compound interest look like, all these things. And so in the first part of the year, we went through theoretical exercises about what is money as a financial instrument, what does it look like, what can you do? And here's the funny curio. The Mexican people as a group, as a culture, are so bad at saving money that the interest rate you can earn in a basic savings account is insane. I wish I was a Mexican person. You can earn as much as 11% in a basic savings account here. The low end is 8%. I don't know what you guys are getting at your banks, but in my bank, if you keep money in a savings account, you're lucky if you're getting a 0.5%. Here it's 8 on the low end because people are so bad about saving money. So yesterday and the day before, I was training the staff, all the managers, all the senior leaders, etc. And we were doing basic budgeting, like what is your income, what's your fixed income, what's your variable income, what other sources of income do you have, etc. And then expenses, what are your fixed expenses, what are your variable expenses, what could you cut back on, all that stuff. Here's the funny part. Between 60 and 70% of all the people who went through trainings with me Tuesday and Wednesday, 60 and 70% had never, ever made a budget of any kind for anything. Like it was a foreign concept. They get their money, they spend it. They get their money, they spend it. They know they're going to get paid every 2 weeks. They get their money, they spend it. They get their money, they spend it. So I used AI to come up with this package right here, basic form package. And the basic package using AI was really, really simple. What is your salary? What are your tips? What other income do you have? Expenses. What is your rent? What is your transportation? Utilities, telephone and internet, food. What are your variables expenses like going out, clothing, gifts, family? How much can you save at the end? And made them do these kinds of calculations. But all of this was done by AI. And AI, I said to AI, I want this to be really simple, really basic. How do we tie together a simple program with goals and dreams? So then we went to, okay, emergency fund. How many months do you need to get to that? What are your financial goals? Short term, 3 to 6 months, long term, 1 to 3 years. And then we switched and went to what's your big dream? So then I had them write out their dreams. What are you willing to give up or change to make that dream happen? And then set a 30-day target of what they were going to do in the next 30 days to bridge the delta between the expenses that they came up here. So the reason why I think this is that I wanted to just share this with you is because a lot of times we think, oh, AI is for all these big blah, blah, blah. But look how beautiful they made this simple 4 pages. And the final page was mini guide 10 habits of intelligent money. What are daily habits? What are personal growth habits? Sign that you're going to take this seriously, right? And then the quote says, money is like the sea. If you learn how to navigate it, it'll always take you much farther. And that was the entire thing. This was built entirely using AI and translated into hard paper with people writing with their pens and getting literally a budget for the first time in their lives. So sometimes
Wow.
we're always in a way, hi, oh man, we're going to create an AI agent to figure out how to run our business forever without us working, and we're going to hire AI employees and whatever. Let's not forget that sometimes AI can be the vehicle that gives you a very simple thing that meets the need of whatever your audience is. In this case, a financially illiterate group of really, really hardworking, nice people that had just never been exposed to anybody saying, hey, man, you need a budget. You got to save money. You got to pay attention to your future. Every day that goes by, you're a day older and a day less of earning power. So, Hubert, kind of an odd
That's
intro, but that's what happens down in Mexico, man.
that's great. I'm glad you're recapping this for us. Now, just dive a little further in and just kind of give us a little synopsis of what your teaching was about in terms of financial stuff. Were you doing the flow of money, or what did you do with them?
Yeah, no, I did, and I was able to share some fundamental concepts, and this is a one of the topics that I really try to focus on, not only with for myself, but with my children, the people that I work with, which is to really understand how money works. Because at the end of the day, what I've come to realize is the only people that have any money are the people that understand how money works. If you don't understand money, you don't have any, right? And I have plenty of family members who don't have any at all and who refuse to learn about it. So I was teaching fundamental things like what is the difference between what the rich, the middle class, and the poor invest in? So, what do the rich invest in? The rich people buy assets that pay you. That's what they do. They buy assets that pay you. They take their money and they invest in something that yields money in return, yield in some form of energy. The middle class buy liabilities. That's what they do. They put things on their credit cards. They buy cars on payment plans. They buy suits and other clothing on payment plans. They buy liabilities. That's what the middle class does. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. And poor people buy junk. They buy little horsies to go on the shelf. They buy a teacup, put it on the shelf. They buy an Eiffel Tower from Paris, even though they've never left the country, and they put that on the shelf. In other words, they buy things that the moment you spend your $20 on them or your $10 on them are worth immediately absolutely nothing. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And you can walk into somebody's house and you see a bunch of those tchotchkes all over the place. You can be guaranteed that their bank account is probably about the same, empty, because they buy junk. So educating people in funny ways like that, rich people buy assets, middle class buy liabilities, poor people buy junk, stuff like that, um, gets people laughing and having a good time. And, so we did a lot of that, Hubie, just to get them opened up to the idea that, hey, man, talking about money is difficult. I could tell there were some people who were very uncomfortable. And when I asked them at the end of the workshop, hey, man, what was your biggest takeaway? Some of the people were like, wow, I'd never even thought about an emergency fund. Never even occurred to me that I need one of those. But of course I do. Things like that. So it was a really, really rewarding thing, difficult for the peeps. I promised them that the next time that I'm here, which will be in the spring of next year, that we would have a workshop that was super fun. And we're basically going to do Discover Your Mind Type because
That's awesome.
they'll have a blast with that.
Now I know that typically when you speak worldwide, you have very sophisticated audiences. But I also do know that you get this special reward for a sense of accomplishment for going back to the basics and introducing these very, very basic things to this audience here and tell us like how you're regarded almost as a folk hero year after year in this particular place. I mean, like, tell the people where you are and the special significance of your relationship here.
Okay, so I'll just take it a step further than that. So I am in Akumal, Mexico, and the view from my Mexican office is that. That's the view. That would be the Caribbean Sea. That would be the hot tub on our balcony right there, overlooking the Caribbean Sea. So that's where I am at the moment. And because of the training and because of the hierarchical system that exists in Mexico, all of the rank and file uh, people that work here, they see Ridgely in an open glass room training their boss, their boss's boss, their boss's boss's boss, and their boss's 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 boss, right? So there's this, who the heck is this Ridgely guy who's training the entire upper senior management of the resort? And as a result, my family and I were very blessed, and I'm grateful for it. I've gotten used to it because it took a while for me to get used to it. We get treated like royalty. The only
Yes.
people that
Yeah.
get better treatment than us are the owners.
Richly, I'm laughing because I have to share. Richly and I were on a meeting yesterday, and this guy every 2 minutes gets interrupted. Knock, knock, knock at the door. Richly has to run over. Somebody's got a plate of something, this elaborately decorated confectionery thing. Richly, it's just like all day long.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We are the only people who can make a reservation overlooking the sea at the table. We get this premium treatment everywhere. The only people that get treated better than us are the owners that are
Wow.
never here. We're here more than they. It's awesome. I've gotten used to it, by the way. It's okay. So
All
anyway,
right.
we doing,
That,
Hubert?
that, that's a good opening. Now, folks, the other thing I want to share, I'm going to share my screen right away. Usually I wait and we teach and whatever. I'm just jumping right into a screen share because I'm now okay. I just wanted to show that so in your ChatGPT Plus account, you can go into now when you run queries, you can run it in regular mode or agent mode. Okay. And Ridgely and I were just playing with this the other day, and I had created this thing. I created a throwaway account, right? So this is a WordPress account on a throwaway domain. I give it its username and password, and I say, all I said was create a test post for me to see if the agent can actually go and log in and start doing stuff. So originally we were talking about the differences between AI assistants and AI agents. So the
Mhm.
agent goes to the next level by using provided credentials and actually doing stuff for you, right? And so I was telling Ridgely that basically it creates this little environment, a virtual computer. And look what it's doing in here, Ridgely. It's step by step going through and doing this, meaning in this little browser world here, it actually went, it logged into that account, it created a test post, and then now it's telling me I created a new test post. It's currently saved in the editor and not yet published. Would you like me to publish this post now? And just to show you all, right? So this is real life now. This is not inside that virtual browser. So I go to posts. Oh, look, an account called test is currently editing and there's a test post and it's in draft, right? And so if I go back into the world of my pretend world of AI and I say, yes, publish the post. Okay. It's gonna go back into this little world of itself here. Remember, it has its own thing. This is its virtual world in here, and it's gonna go in here and publish this post. And then we're gonna check it. Okay. The post title test post has been published successfully. You can view it via the link provided, blah blah blah. Or okay, so now I'm gonna go back into the real world. Okay, and I'm gonna refresh this. Okay, and I'm going to view it. And here's the post. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here and say, update the post with an uh, article about the flow of money and talk about how money represents energy. Okay. So you see what I'm doing, Ridgely? I'm combining now the mechanics of doing automated workflow with the power of AI by just like pointing at it a topic, right? And so you see at the agent level, what's going on here is that it's combining all that awesome power of AI assistance, but with the actual doing of stuff. Now, we're in thinking mode. So originally, interestingly, you can kind of see how it's compiling that output that we asked. It's going and doing research. It's researching money. It's researching energy. It's researching the relationship between the two, and we'll see what it comes up with, right? Oh, it came up with a title called Amplifying the Flow. That's not bad, Ridgely.
Yeah.
Ridgely,
Got
I'm
The
gonna
Soul of
ask this
Money in
thing.
there, one of my best books of all time written about money.
There you
Uh,
go.
uh, I mean, this is so. Can you kind of, in layman's language, describe what you just set up? Because this thing is only on C's at the moment. It's got a way to go.
Yes. So basically, what okay, so and then I'm gonna ask Ridgely also to give some background because he was very excited from his prior trip. uh, he caught a presentation about the power of agents and so forth. But basically, the difference between what we have always normally done in ChatGPT or any other AI assistant is to ask it for help in creating text or copy or whatever. What we did here was run the same thing in agent mode. Okay. And so now ChatGPT Plus has this agent mode. I'm not sure if it's available yet in the free ChatGPT. Maybe it is, where you can run it in agent mode, which means that it creates this window, which has a virtual, computer for it to use. And I gave it the task of going and creating the blog post. And in order for it to do it, I gave it the credentials for the server. Okay. Now you have to be comfortable with sharing the information with ChatGPT and all of that. But I took pains to make sure this is a throwaway account and a throwaway password and all of this. And it goes and in here it's constructing all of that and then running it in here. Now, originally, it's like way deep in the world about doing research. It's still researching. I don't know what the heck, it'll come out here and whatever, and we'll check in after it's finished. But I just wanted to kind of give people an active view of how these agents work because we talk about the agents, in theory, and it's hard to kind of like understand how they actually work. So originally, give us a little background of what you experience at is it
Flight Club.
Fight Club? Yes, and why you were like you called the team immediately and said, "Hey, this recording is now available. You all have need to like embrace what's going on here." So basically, what was the whole thing you were excited about?
So this AI workflow automation stuff is really going to another level. And I want to caution everybody because there's a lot of discussion out there about AGI. AGI is agentic generative intelligence. And the day before yesterday, so literally 2 days ago, Sam Altman's co-founder of ChatGPT said AGI is not even close yet. It is going to take a number of years. There's a bunch of bugs to be worked out. So he basically burst the bubble on AGI is going to be the next greatest whatever. But he also said workflow automation and using agents and creating AI employees is 100% right now happening, and you can take advantage of this. And there
Yeah,
was a guy.
before wait, I'm sorry. Before you continue though, let me just address a slight mistake you just made, and I'm sure to caught everybody their attention to if they follow this. AGI actually stands for Artificial General Intelligence, and that's the world where the AI is even sentient and fully conscious and basically like a person. And so it's not that the G is general as opposed to generative. So I just wanted to say
Oh,
that
got it.
the AGI is like the Uber Mac Daddy of like the world will change when you reach AGI. So I just wanted to clarify that.
That there are concerns about AGI, such as will then artificial intelligence take over the world and dominate all humans? And there's all kinds of crazy stuff like that, like the fact that unless AGI is done well, there will be no emotion attached to it. So a machine is going to have no problem eliminating a human that happens to be in the way of accomplishing a task. There's a lot of crazy theories out there. Well, we can all take some comfort. According to the co-founder of ChatGPT, we ain't even close. Okay. So just to let y'all know. But the workflow automation stuff is really close. And I watched a dude. So Saturday and a Sunday. On a Saturday, a guy who is an email deliverability expert got on board and talked about the need to make sure that your website is fully set up with SERP, DMARC, DNS, etc. Right? Gave a whole presentation about how if you want your emails to be delivered and Apple is double counting emails and there's all kinds of problems out there and you really have to do this, you got to set up these three things that historically cost a person about $15,000 per website to set up. Well, sitting in the audience was this dude, my new buddy, Josh. And Josh is an AI wizard. He's ridiculous. He's just like so far ahead of the curve. Fortune 100 companies are hiring this guy. And he's learning all this stuff from this other dude named Nick. So Nick is talking about email deliverability. And Josh is just sitting there in the audience on his computer, beep, 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 beep. And while Nick was talking, Josh built an agent to do what Nick was saying to his website right then. And when Josh's turn was on Sunday to give his presentation, he said, "Hey, I want to just show you guys how this works so everybody's on the same page of what's possible here." So while Nick was talking yesterday, I was taking notes and I was just making sure my agents knew what they were doing. And so, yeah, once he finished and I made sure that I had it kind of down, I just hit click. Let me show you what it looked like. And the screen went crazy. And all of a sudden, code is flowing down the right side of the screen. The workflow is flowing down the left side of the screen. And he's going, yeah. And so it took me, it took me a little bit to build this agent, but yeah, thanks, Nick. My website's 100% current now. And the room was like, what? How did he do that? And it was like code flowing for like 90 seconds of nothing but this thing was going. And the guy did what cost people $15,000 to do in about 90 seconds. Insane. It was like, what? That was the craziest thing ever. And I don't know if you watched that demo yet, Hubert, or not. I sent it to you only yesterday, but it's just the guy's insane.
That's awesome. Okay, so now let's check in on our agent here. So now it says worked for 3 minutes. And so now it paused at this screen here and it says, I've updated the post title and replaced the original content with the new article on the flow of money and the concept of money is energy. The changes are ready to be saved. Would you like me to click save to update the live post now? So before I do so, I just want to point out that remember how I said this is kind of a little virtual computer for ChatGPT to use to control my website. If I hover over it, you can do takeover, which means that you click it, and then now I'm controlling that browser. Okay. So I can go in here and I see the word here, the word enables. So Ridgely hates the word enables when AI uses it. So let's just change that. The circular flow model shows that when money circulates, moving between households, businesses, governments, and financial institutions, it enables jobs, investment, and the provision of goods and services. So I'm going to change enables to it, I don't know, powers. Okay. But the point is you can see that I'm live editing and it's a real computer. Okay. So I'm not gonna hit save because I want to um, show that the agent can do that. So I just made that one change, and then now I'm gonna say I'm finished controlling. Okay, now remember the way things are now, when I'm driving, ChatGPT doesn't see what I'm doing. Okay, but so I have to tell it that hey, I'm finished making the edits. So now it's gonna flip back, and when it comes back, I'm gonna tell it to save and publish the post. Okay, so now it's thinking. Now it's still a little clunky when you run these things, and you might say, "Well, it takes twice, three times the time. I'll just do it myself." Yes, but imagine workflows where it's very, very grunt workish, where you're doing hundreds of tasks that you don't want to do yourself, right? That's the power of this. Okay, the article text and updated title are in place, and I see the post still has the save button. Would you like me to click save? I'm going to say yes, save and publish. Okay, so I'm going to hit save and publish, enter that, and then it's going to go and do it. And when it says it's ready, we're going to go back to the real world and check. Okay, and so this is, okay, saving and publishing. Okay, so now it's going to go in here, post updated, and it went and it shows that it clicked save. Okay, so now it was successfully saved, blah, 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 whatever. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to adjust. Now, I just saw from the little preview of it that it is here. The language is a little clunky, but you can go back in and ask it to update it or whatever. The flow of money as energy. Okay, so now this is not quite an incredible ooh ah thing, but originally you can see how basically when you feed it enough instruction, such as the secret project we're working on with the topical authority engine, that it actually is able to have an agent go and publish your blogs. So folks,
Mhm.
what I'm getting at here is that Ridgely was all excited about this, and he came back with the vision for our team to take all of our proprietary knowledge about creating these incredible SEO effective blog articles. But rather than have our team manually go and post them and all, it's like click a button and have the agent do it. So originally, I've been hard at work proving this out as a proof of concept, and I can see where it's possible. Is it doable? Is it ready for prime time? No, but the proof of concept is there. So I just wanted to share that with everybody live.
Yeah. I mean, if we think back like a year ago, team, a year ago, you couldn't do a graphic that was worth a flip using AI. You couldn't do automations in any way. There was no agent at the bottom of your ChatGPT account or your Grok account or Perplexity or whatever. Think about how much stuff is changing and how fast. I mean, we just did a demo in a tight little environment. And yes, there are security issues and there's all kinds of things to pay attention to. But think about how much you can accomplish in a short amount of time because of these tools. To me now, it's almost absurd to think that you wouldn't spend 5 minutes to write a detailed prompt and then hit click, as opposed to trying to sit there for 2 hours typing out some kind of article that you think you know better than this gigantic brain that's out there available for 20
Right.
bucks a month. Really?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, let me bring up a point that we've kind of been harping on and emphasize how important it is. Okay, so I mentioned SEO. We, as you all know, we're basically an agency providing many marketing services, but primarily helping high-end dentists get noticed and ranked well in search engines and AI platforms and so forth. And so we pay particular attention to what's going on in the world of SEO. I want to mention a principle and then apply it to this case right here. Okay. Of all the things that you can do to increase your rankings and have positive SEO effect, the number one rule is how much energy of your own honest, real energy did you put into it? And that's effort is what Google is trying to reward. What I'm getting at here is you just saw how we pressed the button and we got a blog post about the flow of money as energy. Okay. What I'm suggesting to you now and what Ridgely just said is prior to pressing the button, spend 5 minutes on creating a really good prompt. After pressing the button, spend another 5 minutes and rewrite it as you would as you did it. Because
Mhm.
Google originally is trying to figure out, hey, does this version where the guy just pressed the button deserve to be higher or lower in ranking than this version where they worked hard and put human energy in it? And believe me, folks, Google has the resources to get it right. They're doing all kinds of SEO stuff. And this article where it's human AI hybrid effort should rank up here. And the other one where you just press the button and AI does it should rank down here. And originally, you and I see the world of SEO changing, and that's squarely the direction. I want you also to tell the story about how Google has been flexing vis-a-vis the other AI platforms and why it is in all of our interest to really give Google its due and to do what Google wants us to do.
Okay, so this is super important, team. Google today controls 93% of organic search and 82% of paid traffic. Those are the numbers as of 2 weeks ago. That's an insane amount, right? And because of that, they control all the data that goes into the search, right? All of it. So what's been happening is ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, DeepSeek, everybody has been using Google's data to answer queries by their customers, taking the money or taking the interest away from Google, right? Google makes money with ads that they're showing people when people are searching for stuff that Google has the answer to. Well, AI engines like Grok and Perplexity are using Google's data to answer their clients. So you knew that at some point, Google is going to say, I don't think so. You other agents, your other engines, I mean, AI engines, are not going to keep using our data to take our clients from us. Everybody with me on this? Stay with me, track with me on this, because there's no way that Google is going to say, oh, okay, ChatGPT, somebody makes a query of you, ChatGPT, you can use my data, Google's data, to answer that query in ChatGPT. I don't think so. Not anymore. And Google used to be giving bots and crawlers about 100 answers, sources per query. Literally a month ago, they started without telling anybody. We had to figure all this out. As usual, we're way, 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 way ahead of the curve. Um, that they have throttled that 100 queries to 10. So
Hmm.
10% of what it used to be, meaning that for Google, that for any other AI engine to access Google's data, it's going to take 10 times the compute power that it used to, meaning that it's 10 times as expensive. And not only that, we don't know what else Google's doing to throttle the other AI engines. But what it means to you, to all of us who are business owners, is that it's super important to pay attention to Google because Google just did that. They flexed their muscles and said, no, no, no. All you other guys are not going to use our data to answer your clients. And therefore, we're going to throttle you. We're going to make it harder, more expensive, more difficult, which means if you're dealing with searches, if people are finding your services, your products because they're searching, or you're doing any kind of paid traffic, you really, really have to pay attention to what Google's doing because they just basically punched back and said, no, we're still the 800-pound gorilla. Nobody else is. And you guys don't get to be using our stuff to take our business away from us.
Exactly. And
Hope
this
that
was
wasn't
so
that too complicated, or was that
well, it was a little on the deep end, of the pool, but it's worth telling everybody, the importance of it because I mean we believe in transparency in this mastermind and originally put quite a bit of effort into creating a video that he went and sent to all of our clients and so forth. I mean, this was kind of a big deal. So I just wanted to make sure that we shared this with everybody. I just want to share my screen again, check in on this agent because I said now it said everything should be live now. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to adjust. I said yes. Please add some images to the post so that it's more pleasing and engaging. And it's actually going in here, and in what the agent is now doing is it's actually going and doing some ideation about what kind of images would be good, and it's actually creating them. And so while Ridgely was speaking, I was just watching this computer do its work, and it comes up with an idea of a diagram or whatever, and it does its work. And so stuff is going on in here, and like we'll keep checking in to see how it does. So look at this, Ridgely. It went and created this. It went and saved it somewhere. It went and updated it, and it's it's updating the post as we speak with the images that it created. I'm trying to insert. I'll attempt various methods. So anyway, the thinking mode is rather uh, uh, ra rather mesmerizing to watch, right? And so it's just like you could just sit here and watch it do its work. Of course, this is all novel, and I'm reminded of when WordPress, I'm sorry, yes, when WordPress first came out, and it was like everybody was just struggling with the fundamentals. Now, so long as you know what needs to be done, you don't need to know how to do it. Like, let the AI figure it out. Let the agent figure it out. Now, can I make it better? Yes, but in the time and effort that we're doing here, I can be working on 100 different pages such as these, as opposed to me handcrafting them. So there's that. Okay,
So
so
Bill
originally,
asked the question here in the chat, does it
yeah.
mean do we need to go back to Google to do our original searches first? The answer is this. We don't know yet. We don't have real visibility into that, Bill. But what we do know is that Google is the only search engine that has unfettered access to all that data that they've been collecting for years. All the other engines are tapping into that data somehow. Google has unrestricted access. So, does it logically make sense that Google is going to be a better source for an initial search of some kind? Logically, it absolutely makes sense. Does it also make sense? And here I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Mhm.
I'm going to make a prediction that other AI engines like ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, etc., are going to need to find other ways to monetize their offering in order to be able to afford going into Google and getting that data because Google's the only one that has it. So we don't have a definitive answer, Bill, but logic would say, and you being a problem solver and the author of the book, right? Bill, logic would say if they have unfettered access and these other engines don't, and it doesn't cost them money and it costs these other engines a lot, you're probably going to get better data from Google than you're going to get from anybody else. Hubert, would you agree with that or would you take issue with that? What's your thought on that? Because we never had
Well,
this discussion.
that's true. My observation and my prediction though is money seems to be, or I should say funding originally, seems to be unlimited at this point of the curve still. Okay. The amount of investment going on into ChatGPT, into Grok, into Perplexity, it's it's crazy. And while AGI and the race for AGI, as you reported, is still far away, the race to make your agentic platforms better than the other guys is very, very real. And if anything, Google's restrictions, such as flexing and restricting its data, is actually going to cause more investment by the other guys and probably more breakthroughs than the other guys. And so, things tend to have unintended consequences. So, yeah, a blow was landed by Google and they're flexing, but the bounce back, I'm pretty sure originally is going to be pretty impressive. So let's just,
What direction do you think it's going to go in, Hubert? Where are we going to see it? Let's make some
that's,
predictions, man. Let's get
yes.
bold here.
Okay.
My
So,
prediction
so
is we're gonna see costs showing up for other agents. That's my prediction.
I, I can see that happening, but my prediction is
Or
also,
that they're going to start charging for advertising. One of the two. Somehow they've
yes,
got to make money,
no,
is my prediction.
yes. I strongly believe that they'll introduce advertising and charge people to appear on that platform. Okay. And when that happens, usually for us, that's actually a good thing as marketers, because when there's a chance to buy your way to the top of visibility and you're one of the first ones to do it, you kind of own the space if you jump in right away. So the second they start letting people place ads on the various platforms, I'm all over that. Okay. My other
Mhm.
prediction, my main other prediction, it's funny because you used the verbiage. what do you see as happening? What I literally see, literally you can't see, meaning voice operated AIs are going to be more and more in use. AI driven processes that we're not even going to be aware of AI powered stuff going on in the background anymore. We're just going to presume that it's there. Okay, so the other day I saw a misspelling on a marketing piece, and I said, "Wow, I haven't seen misspellings in a long time because AI largely doesn't misspell." So when I saw an ad with a misspelling, I knew, wow, there's a company that actually didn't use AI. Somebody goofed up and had a misspelling, right? And so I think really what becomes visible will be a lot less. I think we're just being driven towards um, more stuff with AI baked in. Now, finally, I do want to say one thing,
Well, let me
and
ask a
I
question on that. Before you
yes,
go any further, though, but let me ask a question on that.
yes.
How do we continue, we as a mastermind group, how do we continue to figure out these things to stay ahead of the curve? Because if stuff is happening in the background and we don't know about it, how are we going to be able to use it intelligently, other than obviously showing up and listening to Hubert?
Well, no. So here's the opposite of showing up and listening to Hubert. Okay, and this is a true story, and I want to acknowledge Jim, who's in the chat, because Jim hasn't been on for a couple of weeks, but he reached out to me via email and said, "Hey, heads up, this AI engine and project that I've been keeping an eye on, you know, by Mike Adams. You all may know him as the Health Ranger, kind of a leader in the alternative thinking space, particularly when it comes to health matters. Jim reported because he follows that community closely. He and Darina just dropped in, love Mike Adams. So you guys are of like minds. So Mike Adams, Jim reported to me, his AI engines are now ready for prime time. And so Jim sent me a link and I investigated that. And I just wanted to share this. So in addition to the link that Mike Adams shared, which means you can download this Brighteon AI. You can actually download it and run it on your own computer. So Jim, I just wanted to report that also he has an online version at brightu.ai. Now I know there's privacy issues and concerns and all of that, but you can actually ask its engines right here without installing it. Okay. And so, tell me about the latest COVID strain. And that's on my mind because 3 weeks ago I and my whole household went through the whole COVID thing. And anyway, so there you go, online. So Jim, I'm sure you already knew this, but you don't have to install the Brighteon AI onto your computer to use it. You can use the online version. Okay. So I just wanted to share that. But the reason why I'm sharing all of that is that originally um the idea of coming on each week to listen to Ridgely and Hubert, that whole model is no, we're all of like minds. We're interested in AI and its use for marketing. We all have our own interests. That means go out there and pursue your interests and then report back either on these calls or send us emails or chat with each other. And I'm going to ask Ridgely, because Ridgely's been saying this for 40 years. I'm going to ask Ridgely to explain the power and the original definition and the whole history of the mastermind. Now, Ridgely, before masterminds were a thing, it was your thing. I mean, you're one of the
Yeah,
original proponents of the mastermind all the way back to, Think and Grow Rich. Give
yeah,
us,
yeah.
give
No.
us, give us 5 minutes on that whole thing.
So if you are a student of Think and Grow Rich, the concept behind the mastermind is that when we get together as a collective, it's not Hubert's brain plus Ridgely's brain plus everybody that's on this call's brain. It's all of that, and that there's a meta brain that gets created above all of us because we're then in a co-creative process. So, for example, Bill asked a question. Art just asked a question. Dorina weighed in. Jim kicked in with this Mike Adams thing, right? And the it doesn't become a 1 + 1 = 2. It becomes a 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 10, right? That there's a collective intelligence that comes out of the mastermind that raises the ships of all of the mastermind members. And so to the extent that you participate in a mastermind, you're literally raising the tide of the intelligence of all of the mastermind members. And so it's much more powerful. So what Hubert said is exactly right. The more that we can literally go out and discover these things and then reconvene and share, then everybody rises with that rising tide. And so we can really bring things to this collective that we all benefit from and become infinitely smarter than you could in a 1 + 1 environment. And by the way, the co-creative process to me is amazing, right? When two people are talking, often what's happening is monologues in the presence of a witness. One person is standing there waiting for the other person to shut up so they can jump in with their thing. That's not a dialogue. A dialogue is that's a monologue in the presence of a witness. A dialogue is a co-creative process. I don't know exactly where this is going, but Hubert and I are dissing about a bunch of stuff. Hubert has a tremendous amount of knowledge about this topic, and I have a different type of knowledge, which is more in the application side of things. What can we do with that stuff? And so I'm always listening. What was that you just said, man? What was that? So that whatever's coming out of Hubert or anybody else on this mastermind is informing where I'm going with my next thought. I'm not sitting here waiting to just start blah, blah, blah. I'm going, okay, well, how does that impact that? What does that look like? How do we do this thing, etc.? For instance, Art here in this chat says, my biggest problem with using Google right now is it won't connect with my VPN active. Is there a way to get around that other than temporarily turning off my VPN? Well, I'm down in Mexico and my wife is having all kinds of problems with the internet because of her VPN. So now what happens when Hubert answers this question, because I don't know the answer, and if Hubert doesn't know the answer, I already know what he's doing. He's using AI to find the answer so that he can sound really intelligent when he shares with us what the answer is, because I'm going to put it back on him. Now it's informing me in a whole other dialogue that I'm going to have with my wife after this call based on the information that I'm about to learn. So this concept of having all of us contribute to the collective is what makes a mastermind so super powerful.
True. Yes. And also, so to Ridgely's and Kathy's issue with the VPN there, and Dr. Art's issue with the VPN, it may very well be that the answer has to be that you turn off the VPN, because the nature of the VPN, Ridgely, is to filter out certain stuff for your protection, and the stuff that you're trying to do, you're butting heads so much with the VPN that you simply may not be able to do it. Art, I'm going to have to work with you to figure out the exact particulars of what you're doing, but the whole VPN idea is very real. Now, I caution you against trying too hard to get around the VPN if when you don't have to, meaning like the VPN is trying to stop stuff for a reason. Okay. And so like Ridgely and Kathy are on vacation and the VPN is not working for whatever. And maybe it's just that it means under the hood, Ridgely, on Kathy's machine, she has some processes that are going that the VPN doesn't like, and so it's bringing it to a halt. But it's probably, you know, wise not to try to keep struggling on that. So my answer is vague, but I'm just saying that there's no easy workaround, but it's a known issue. So by even surfacing the issues and having us all think about it together, you get that effect of the mastermind, doing its great things. Let me just share my screen to give you all the latest. So Now the blog now has been updated with the image, and so it created this generatively from scratch and just added in here. So that's pretty powerful. Now, one last thing I want you to address visually too about the craziness of masterminds. You're wearing the hat of one of the craziest masterminds in the world, and you're sitting in a place where something happened a couple of years ago that you guys as a couple still chuckle about. I want you to end by kind of telling the story about what is EO, how, they're your kind of people, and how your kind of people show up in the most unexpected places. This is about speaking about the power of masterminds.
So EO is the Entrepreneurs Organization. It's where I learned all about masterminds. EO, to belong to EO, you have to have a business that does over $1 million a year with 5 employees or more. And I was a member for 21 years. And during COVID, we were able to escape down here to Akumal, which is our favorite place to be. Um, and of course, back then there you could only have a gathering of 60 people. There's so many things that you could not do because of COVID. And we show up here in Akumal, which the whole place, by the way, was closed. In other words, the hotel itself was, almost empty, etc. And there is a sign in the lobby. It says, "Welcome entrepreneurs." And now I have spoken to EO all over Mexico. So I have 300 entrepreneur friends all across Mexico. And I'm here with my wife for a quiet getaway, romantic getaway. And I saw that sign and I thought to myself, oh no, I am in deep doo-doo now. I am in big trouble. And who shows up? 150 EOers, right? A-type maniac CEOs like me, of which I knew a third of them. And our intimate romantic getaway turned into this. Hold on. I'm going to show you this.
A small, intimate little getaway for you and Kathy.
150 maniac CEOs dancing out of their brains, drinking like fish, whatever. I will tell you, every single time we come back here, I hear the story from Kathy. Hey, you think EO is going to show up this time? Whatever. So I catch endless flack from
That
this
is
particular. It was hilarious, though. So funny.
funny. Okay. I
All right.
just before we end, I just want to sneak in a read of the chat. Um, Dr. Art says thanks. You're welcome. Art. Brenda said in regards to that, I have started using Brave as the browser when VPN is blocked. And Jim said that's a good overall browser. Brenda, thanks for contributing that. I also want to mention that we're about to start playing with some of the AI powered browsers, such as Comet. Right. And so this is a whole world of, and Ridgely and I have a very respected colleague. His name is Lonnie, and he's been using nothing but these AI powered browsers. He says it's a whole nother level. So I can't wait to dig in on that, and we'll report back on that. Ridgely, when are we meeting next, Ridge?
Next Friday 31st, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Pacific in the US. Friday the 31st, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Be there and we will keep up, staying on top of the pace, possibly revealing our latest with topical authority clusters that we're building
Oh,
right now. Literally, it's only 4 days old, so we need one more week of testing to see where we are with that, but it's pretty amazing.
a Halloween edition. We had a Halloween edition last year.
We can
I
do it again.
remember. I remember.
Wear a hat. We'll remind everybody with the email that goes out for it. Have a great rest of your week,
Yeah,
and
Bill said that we have to wear a costume, and
well, you
Ridgely just
certainly can. You're
wear. You
welcome
certainly
to.
can, and wear a hat.
All right, guys. Thanks very much, everybody. Really appreciate
Originally, I have a question for you though before you sign off.
it. Okay, go ahead.
What did the big flower say to the little flower?
What?
Hi, bud.
Okay, that's not as bad as usual. All right. Awesome, man.
You're in
Okay,
a generous mood because you're in your favorite place on earth. So
there you go. Awesome. Huey, can you meet me on my channel, please?
yes, we'll do. Okay,
All
thanks
right.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Ciao, ciao.